on this episode of Locked On Grizzlies. I guess we have to talk about basketball. I'd rather talk about anything else. Life is just full of depression and despair and darkness watching this team. They're the worst team in the NBA. They're probably going to get the lottery and then somehow get the 14th pick in the lottery, even when that's against the rules. Welcome to Locked On Grizzlies. Let's lock in.
You are Locked On Grizzlies, your daily Memphis Grizzlies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, put on a happy face. Smile through it, smile through it, smile through it.
Happy Monday, Joe.
Oh, it's Monday. That makes, Damichael, I'm trying to find joy right now, right? I am trying to find reasons to endure what is going to be the worst basketball season in the history of the Memphis Grizzlies. It's just going to be abysmal. They can't play. They might as well, if there was relegation, that Grizzlies should be relegated. That's how bad they are right now, Damichael. It's really bad. Welcome to Locked On Grizzlies. I am Joe Mullinax of Bluff City Media. The wonderful sunshiny day on the other side is Damichael Cole of the Commercial Appeal there in Memphis, Tennessee. He's the beat writer for the team, which I just feel so bad for you, Damichael, that you have to follow this night in and night out. Technically, I do too, but it's not like my day job. So I can, try to find something else to do and maybe hide things every once in a while, but I'm still going to watch it because I'm, addicted to what I'm doing with my life. Unfortunately, if you're listening to this or viewing this, you're probably an everydayer. And if you're not, you're just coming in, checking out a Halloween Eve edition of a Grizzlies podcast. You're trying to see what the team is up to, right? They're 0-3 for the first time in like 20 years. So maybe maybe they, we're looking for reasons to be optimistic. You're not going to find it from me. All right. Now, Damichael, I know you, Damichael. You are going to try to convince me over the course of this episode that things are not as bad as they actually are. But I do something that you don't do, Damichael. I interact with people on social media. And if you interact with people on social media, you know that the season is over, right? So we can talk about how this episode of Locked On Grizzlies is brought to you by PrizePicks and how you should, go take advantage of the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. We can act like everything's normal if you want to, Damichael, and tell you to go and subscribe on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. And we're all just so happy to be together. I'm happy to be with you, Damichael, but I am in a bad mood because the Grizzly season is basically over. And I was told that on X, and X is where the action is, and that's where everything happens, as you know.
Listen, Joe. I'm just going to ask you some questions first.
Okay.
Sure. I hear you. It's been a tough season so far.
It's been very hard.
It's been very tough to watch.
It's been a hard 106 hours. It's been very difficult. Is Ja Morant
playing right now?
No, because he got suspended for doing stupid things.
Is Steven Adams playing right now?
Steven Adams, the medical team probably messed that up. I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. I think they're right, but I am not very happy right now, Damichael.
All right,
it is doom and gloom. I am sad.
That's two projected starters right there. All right, let's keep going.
You're just making my argument.
Is Santi Aldama playing right now?
Well, yeah, let's talk about Santi Aldama. Day to day with an ankle sprain. What the hell does day to day mean, Michael? What does day to day mean? Day to day. We are now in week to week almost. He's out for the Mavericks game tonight.
I hear you.
We have to talk about because David Locke has a contract with my name on it that I have to talk about this team.
Is Luke Kennard the guy who has led the NBA in 3-point percentage the last 2 seasons? Is he even playing right now?
No. And if you look, his shooting percentage is terrible. They probably need to trade him too and try to get something of Have you watched him in 2 games? In 2 games, he looks like he forgot how to shoot the basketball, Damichael. It's been just awful.
This is where we take what's called a chill pill.
Oh,
you get that chill pill. When you get up in the morning and you drink that water, you swallow it, you let it dissolve, and you relax. Because guess what?
I don't think I can take that before going to work, Damichael.
Who beat the Grizzlies in the playoffs last season?
The Los Angeles Lakers. Again, you're bringing up very negative things.
Do you remember how that team started last season? They were 2-10. The Grizzlies, breaking news, the Grizzlies are going to be better than 2-10. I think so.
What have you seen that makes you think that, Damichael? Because aside from Desmond Bane, who we'll talk more about here in a little bit, aside from Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., solid defensively. Yeah. Offensively, he looks like my 8-year-old trying to dribble the basketball. You have Marcus Smart taking isolation threes in clutch circumstances and situations. Yeah. I love Marcus Smart. I love watching Marcus Smart play basketball. I'm so happy he is a member of the Memphis Grizzlies. He should not be taking isolation threes in clutch situations. That's not his game. But here's Coach St. Andrews with this amazing new offense. And Damichael, it's a small sample size. I admit
Very
that.
Small sample size.
But through 3 games, if the season ended today, which obviously it doesn't because there's 79 more games to play that we have to watch of this madness. But if through 3 games, they are the worst points per possession offense in the history of the Memphis Grizzlies. That is not hyperbole. That's cleaning the glass. Statistically speaking, points per shot attempt, the worst team offense in the history of the franchise.
Can we at least wait till there's a set rotation?
No, this is a time for
guys who are playing right now. These guys won't be on the floor. I know Jake LaRavia. He hasn't been
your
good.
Boy
right?
Derrick Rose. Your boy Derrick Rose, who's shooting 36 or something % from inside the 3-point line.
He carried them. He is the reason they almost got 1 win, right?
Oh, yay! 1 win! Huzzah! We were a championship contending team. We were having days on ESPN. I remember the good old days of 2022 Damichael Cole.
Yeah.
I remember how we were so filled with pride.
56 wins, right?
Oh my gosh. And they were going up and up. And John Morant was the next Kobe Bryant or LeBron James, the next great American basketball player. And now look at us. We have to hope that Jake LaRavia can play rotation minutes. Jake freaking LaRavia. Fingers crossed that he's going to make a 3. And we don't have to just hope and pray that he's going to do it.
Look, do you remember that season? You brought up 2022. So let's talk about it. John Morant got hurt, right? I think it was late. Was it late November? Yeah, it was late November against the Atlanta Hawks.
Sure did.
People thought it was really bad. I know. That was right before I took the job to come here. I remember that because when I saw it, I said, "Oh snap!
Yeah,
I'm about to cover the John Morant-less Grizzlies." But listen, here's the thing: that team at that point was hovering around 500, right?
They also had Tyus Jones, who helped beat the Memphis Grizzlies in Washington on Saturday.
I like this, Joe. I like this. But check this out. What I'm telling you is, look at the history. The history suggests that this team has a great defensive coach. If you go to the past 2 seasons, the Grizzlies had a slow defensive start. Remember last season? We were talking about how the Grizzlies started so slow defensively. And by the 3rd, 4th week of the season, it clicked. Right now, they have not. I mean, you're talking about the Washington Wizards for a large part of that game looked like a dominant offense against what's supposed to be a top 5 defense in the NBA. Things are gonna settle down, and these aren't even my words. This isn't me trying to lift up all the sad faces. This is just what the players are saying. Marcus Smart, for example, I wrote it in the last story. I was talking to him after the game on Friday. Everyone should know this by now. Marcus Smart, when he's on the floor, he's one of the most vocal guys out there, right? He loves to talk defensively.
And you know what, Marcus? Legitimate blast to watch play. He is all over the place.
He's been all over the place. But here's the thing, Joe. He said that he's basically learning another language right now defensively. And he said when he's out there, when he's communicating, he wants to make calls and things like that. But he said it's tough to speak up when you just don't know all the calls yet. He's learning on the fly. Derrick Rose, who you're speaking of. I think he looks fine because I like the speed that he's playing with. He's shooting the ball well from 3-point range. I know the number isn't sustainable, but at the end of the day, we know, like I know, this team needs shooters. And to have a guy who can make the open 3-point shot is huge for this team. So the point is, even with Derrick Rose, he said, look, I'm learning. He basically said, I have to learn, when to slow down, when to speed up. And he has to try not to shoot the basketball too much within this offense because of the freedom that he has within it. He probably has the freedom on most possessions to just come up and shoot it. But he's having to learn how to, get himself involved, how to get others involved, where others like the ball. I think it's different this season. We saw last year, right? The Grizzlies, incorporated some new guys into the rotation, but it was guys like David Roddy, right? Just he didn't have to do too much. Santi Aldama, he didn't have to do too much. It wasn't a usage thing. It's different this season because Marcus Smart has the ball in his hands a lot. Derrick Rose, when he comes into the game, he has the ball in his hands a lot. You're talking about two guys who have been probably on the ball more than anyone else on the team up to this point. So they're running the keys to the entire offense, and they got to figure it out. They're the engine, and the engine ain't running great right now. So calm down. Let's revisit. We're gonna revisit this, Joe. It's okay. It's okay. 3 games.
All right.
And I know the Western Conference is loaded, and I wrote this recently. Falling behind in this thing is highly not recommended because it can come back to bite you in the end. But at the end of the day, they just got to tread water at this point. Just get to the job. Get to the Ja Morant return date at 13-12 or 12-13. I think you'll be fine.
I would say that they're currently in a position where they're not treading water. They're taking on water if they were on a boat and it's sinking. And there's just so much water all around them. But anyway, you know what? I appreciate you, Damichael Cole, so very much. Anybody that watches Locked On Grizzlies, listens to Locked On Grizzlies knows how much I respect Damichael Cole. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come back from the break we're about to take, and I'm going to have a sunnier disposition. I'm at least going to try to. And I'm going to try to look down things on the sunny side, take some of your sunshine there, partner, and bring it my way. There are some things that I think maybe I can talk myself into being more optimistic about because the team, didn't forget how to play basketball. I do think that's important to point out. So we'll try to get a little more positive when we come back. And you've been positive the whole time, but maybe I overreacted a bit. It's possible that I shouldn't, listen to X users for.
I tell you what, this is something. Takes. This is something coming from a football coach, coming from a guy who has to preach fourth quarters. Is this what you do when your team is losing in the first quarter?
It's not. You're right. Okay. I'm gonna apologize. We're gonna come back. We're gonna be more positive, or at least I'm gonna be more positive here on Locked On Grizzlies. But first, this episode of Locked On Grizzlies is brought to you by PrizePicks, and I am positive that you should give PrizePicks a chance if you have not already done so. PrizePicks is really simple to play. You can make your picks and submit your entry in less than 60 seconds. You can test your skill on PrizePicks this football or basketball season in so many different ways, turning $10 into $250 with just a few taps. PrizePicks offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday tomorrow. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. And with the PrizePicks reboot policy, your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. For NFL games, college football, top 25, if you have a player who exits in the game in the first half and doesn't return in the second, that player is rebooted. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform that has that form of injury insurance. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedonnba and use the code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, prizepicks.com/lockedonnba. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy. When we come back, I'm going to be more positive. I'm going to be more excited, more happy about, hey, the NBA season is here and the Grizzlies aren't going to suck forever. Next, here on Locked On Grizzlies. Welcome back to Locked On Grizzlies. I am Joe Mullinax. The negative Joe has been pushed away. Okay, I don't know what happened there to Michael. I have to apologize.
It's been tough. It's been tough. I get it.
The darkness just kind of envelops me when it comes to this franchise. It was bad. So I talking to you, I think that I'm ready to try. I'm ready to get hurt again, and I'm ready to try to look on the bright side of things. Another positive is that because the season is underway, that means the Locked On Ultimate NBA Season Preview is here. That's a 6-episode series with all 30 of our Locked On NBA team shows. I was one of those guys that participated in this. From contenders to tankers, we go in depth into the biggest storylines heading into the season. Catch all 6 episodes of Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And again, I was happy to represent Locked On Grizzlies on that, back when Steven Adams was still playing basketball for the Memphis Grizzlies. And Santi Aldama hadn't, had a terrible ankle injury that apparently will, keep him out for a while. And Luke Kennard, before he got a concussion and forgot how to shoot the basketball. I'm going backwards. All right. Staying positive, staying focused here. Damichael, one of the things to be positive about, and I was excited about this coming into the episode, the Desmond Bane All-Star bandwagon, the campaign is in full tilt because Desmond Bane is playing some of the best basketball of his career. And that is a reason to be optimistic about this team. So many guys are currently struggling, like Jaren Jackson Jr. offensively. Defensively, he's a terror. Bismack Biyombo, it was reported by Shams Charania of The Athletic. Bismack Biyombo, like we kind of predicted last week, is going to be on the Memphis Grizzlies by the end of this week, which is going to be very helpful in the front court once John Morant goes to the suspended list. So between Bane and Biyombo, it's not like Biyombo's going to save the Memphis Grizzlies. He's currently unemployed, but he is probably a better option than Kenneth Lofton Jr. He is one of the better rim protectors in the NBA, despite his size. Good luck scoring on Jaren Jackson Jr. and Biyombo when they're on the court together.
Rock parties at the FedEx Forum.
And defense, when your offense is struggling, as you know, partner, is the best way to try to squeak out wins. And the Grizzlies seem to acknowledge that. But, Bane is the main reason that I'm optimistic because he looks like he's ready to take that leap to all-star status like we all hoped he would.
Yeah, I mean, Desmond Bane looks good. And part of me, honestly, still feels like he's not playing his best basketball. And that's
right. That's fair.
That's the good part about it. I mean, he's playing like at a high level, but the expectation for Desmond Bane is there now. Like if you go to the Nuggets game, he struggled for the first couple quarters, and then in the second half, he kept the aggressiveness. Next thing you know, I think he started 1 of 11. Next thing you know, he was like 4 of 17, whatever, which is overall a bad shooting night. But you want a guy like Desmond Bane to just keep letting it ride. You see the facilitating, the playmaking. He's having a nice start, and I see that there's room for growth with his play. And I'll tell you a guy that I've been, impressed with a little bit too, and it's the 2 fill-in starters. And I said a guy, but both those guys. Zion Williams records his first double-double, and even in the Nuggets game, he rebounded. I think he finished with 8 rebounds in that game. Like he's bringing something. We've talked about how the Grizzlies need to be a better rebounding team. I didn't think we didn't factor in the fact that they have a 6'9" small forward who is, taking advantage of, that with those long arms and he can leap. I mean, you've seen him catch some alley-oops at this point. It's going to help this team from a rebounding perspective while he's in the lineup. Xavier Tillman Sr., I just think he's so solid. Like you're not going to get 25 points and 15 rebounds and 5 blocks from him, but you're going to get good screens. You're going to get someone who defensively he can switch out on Jordan Poole as we saw in that last game and held his own, or he can go in the paint and bang with Daniel Gafford and hold his own in that matchup as well.
Or Nikola Jokic, partner. Like
even better.
I was so impressed.
He guarded it well.
I don't watch the entire NBA because I don't have the time to. And I know you don't watch I watch more NBA basketball than a lot of people do. Right. Yeah. And I know you're in the same boat. So I can't say definitively that Xavier Tillman is the best to defend Jokic. I know other guys exist. He's do know good. This. It is hard to believe that there are 5 other bigs in the NBA that defended Jokic better than Tillman did on Friday night. And that is a massive compliment to X.
You know what's funny? After the game, Taylor Jenkins, he, like most coaches, he's very strategic with what he says. But I really wanted to know. I was like, man, what did you guys do to kind of slow down, Jokic to the tune that granted he still had like 22, 12, and 7 or something like that,
but
which is a great night for most guys.
Everyone.
Exactly. That's a down night for a 2-time MVP, NBA Finals MVP. And Taylor Jenkins just goes, we got to play him 3 more times. And I get it. I get it, because if you got a recipe to slow that guy down, you probably don't want to give it up. But I'm with you. And going back to the Biyombo signing just a little bit as well, that front court depth is going to be huge, because right now what we've seen the Grizzlies do is stagger Xavier Tillman and Jaren Jackson Jr. at the center position. We saw Kenneth Lofton Jr. get his first, game experience, in this not first game experience, but his first, real run this season in the rotation in his last game. But I think Bismack Biyombo, if he's a guy that they want to implement into the rotation, I think he gives you another big who can, defensively give you something coming off the bench. Now you think about Biyombo being paired, with Santi Aldama. I think you got something nice there, and then you mix it in. You'll see him some with Jaren. Like, you want to have at least 4 bigs, and once Santi gets back, if the reported, Bismack Biyombo signing goes through and everything, then I think you got something working in the front court that you can build upon going forward.
And between Aldama and Kennard returning, you'll have guys on the floor in the roles they're supposed to be in for longer periods of time. Like, you don't have to depend on Jake LaRavia. You don't have to depend on David Roddy if he's struggling. They had 6'4", 6'5" David Roddy defending Kyle Kuzma in crunch time against the Wizards. And no disrespect to David Roddy, Kuzma's going to shoot over him every single time. And there were times where Roddy played good defense, and he just physically is not capable in those types of matchups to be able to do what the Grizzlies are asking him to do. But if it's Bismack Biyombo at the 5 and Jaren Jackson Jr. at the 4, now maybe you have a little more opportunity to stand up to that type of matchup. So I think it's crazy to have to say this, partner, but I think we just have to be patient, right? And
you got to be patient, because things are gonna develop. Things are gonna develop. Like for example, remember in the preseason, you were pretty much out of it on John Conchar. Now be honest with us, Joe. Let us know how you feel about John Conchar so far this season. Let us know.
I'm not out of it on him. Everything I've said is still true. He is white rice, but he can play. Like, you put all sorts of different sauces.
His rebounding has been exactly what they've needed, right?
Sure. Yeah. But again, his ceiling is also his floor. Like, he is the perfect, half your team is out, you need him to play guy. Yeah. I agree with that. I just don't want him in my normal rotation when the team is healthy. But you could argue the 5 guys that are currently out for the Grizzlies, Morant, Clark, Adams, Kennard, and Aldama could be a starting 5 for a playoff team in the NBA. So they're missing so many dudes that they need Conchar right now. And he is being white rice.
That the entry 5 might beat the starting 5 right now.
I don't disagree with you. So it'll allow Marcus Smart to be in the role he's supposed to be in when all these guys are back. I think it took us a little while to get there, but I'm feeling better. So thank you, Damichael. And again, I'm sorry to everybody. Sometimes I get into I was probably on social media too much this weekend. I had a little more time on my hands than I normally do. And I probably read too many, posts or tweets, whatever they're called now. Yeah. But I'm better now. And I'm feeling good going into Grizzlies-Mavs tonight. Again, I'm ready to get hurt again. When we come back here on Locked On Grizzlies, let's break down Grizzlies-Mavs, see how Memphis can slow down. We talked about how Bane is off to a good start. Luka Doncic is off to a scintillating start. I think he's averaging something like over 40 points a game right now. Again, it's been 3 or 2 games, but still, he's just absurd at the moment. What can Memphis do to try to slow him down and more? We'll talk about that next here on Locked On Grizzlies. But first, this episode of Locked On Grizzlies is brought to you by FanDuel. Obviously, you can check out FanDuel with the NBA, but you can also do so with the NFL. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. You've been thinking about joining FanDuel. There's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options available for things like spreads, player props, over-unders, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL. When we come back, it's Grizzlies-Mavs time. Can Memphis find their first win of the season at home? We'll talk about that next here on Locked On Grizzlies. Welcome back to Locked On Grizzlies. I am Joe Mullinax of Bluff City Media, joined by Damichael Cole, the commercial appeal there in Memphis, Tennessee. Damichael, you've talked me off the ledge. I'm feeling better about this Grizzlies team than I was. But the Dallas Mavericks may have something to say about the Grizzlies trying to get into a winning formula. Obviously, things are not going well offensively right now for them. Luka Doncic and the Mavericks come into town with literally one of the very best offensive weapons on the planet in Luka Doncic.
How about that shot he hit off the backboard the other day, Joe? That
amazing shot. Such a talent, really a remarkable scorer of the basketball. He's just doing so many amazing things. How do you see this going for Memphis? Again, the Mavericks have played 2 games so far this season. Grizzlies, of course, have logged 3.
Yeah.
How does Memphis get their first win of the season against a Dallas team that is feeling pretty good about themselves right now, led by the brilliance of one Luka Doncic? 49 points on 25 shots against the Brooklyn Nets the last time the Mavs were on the floor.
Yeah. He put the Nets away, didn't he? But the thing about it, when you talk about Dallas, is we haven't even mentioned one of the other most prolific scorers in the NBA, and Kyrie Irving. They have a backcourt tandem that offensively can rival any. But this is where the big bucks that you've paid, the investments, come in for the Grizzlies. I'm super excited about this matchup. I want to see Marcus Smart on Luka, because Luka,
absolutely.
We've seen Zaire Williams and Luka in the past, and look, it ain't been pretty. Zaire's working on the body, but Zaire has done well against those quicker. You put him on Kyrie Irving,
I agree.
Length. I think those two, you're not going to stop Luka and Kyrie. But if you say, hey, let's design matchups against the Mavs, I think you throw Marcus Smart on Luka, you throw Zaire on Kyrie, and you can say, hey, we got a decent chance of holding these guys under their season averages and going with the flow. But with the Mavs, you're going to get high-powered offense, still working out some things defensively. They're very young in the front court. So this is one of those games where I don't expect the Grizzlies to get bullied on the boards and things like that. Derek Lively is a rookie. Grant Williams is going to play the 4 for them, former UT Vol, but hasn't really been known as a great rebounder, in the NBA at this point. So Memphis should be able to hold its own, in the rebounding standpoint. They have the defensive individual players who can kind of, hold their own against Dallas's top scorers. Again, they won't stop these dudes, but they can hold their own. That's what you need. You don't need someone who's just going to be straight up barbecue chicken in front of Luka Doncic. So with that being said, I think that gives you a chance. You mentioned a slow start to the offense. The offense in that Wizards game, after they fell down 25 points, they did find some things. It looked like, when they were playing faster, they were able to have a little bit more success. So we'll see, what happens, the course of a full 4-quarter game. I think the Grizzlies are better lined up in this game because Dallas, Derek Lively and Maxi Kleber and all those guys, that's not the guys you expect to just bully ball the Grizzlies on the board. And that's an area where Memphis can struggle right now. They have the individual matchups defensively. Dallas isn't a great defensive team by any metrics at this point. Why not this be the game, Joe, where you break the losing streak?
And I think Desmond Bane, whatever his more than or less than over at PrizePicks or over under with FanDuel in terms of points scored, take the over, because the Dallas Mavericks, we talked about how they beat the Nets, right? Yeah. 125 to 120. Here is the backcourt that started for the Nets. You had Spencer Dinwiddie, as long as we don't assume Ben Simmons is a point guard, right? He's kind of like Luka in that
point forward, yeah.
Yeah, point forward. Dinwiddie and Cam Thomas were the starting backcourt.
They lit
and Dinwiddie had 23 points on 17 shots, and Cam Thomas had 30 points on 19 shots.
he should be licking his fingers, man.
But Desmond Bane, like you said, barbecue chicken. Like there's going to be lots of opportunities for Dez to go off in this one. And I also think that'll help guys that are trying to find their rhythm offensively playing in that backcourt. I think that there will be opportunity for them to do so. This is a game where the Grizzlies match up well. I think Derek Lively is going to be a really good center for them. I hated that they took him, but he's a rookie. Yeah. And he's somebody that I think can be picked on a little bit. He kind of was, played off the floor.
Exactly.
He only played 17 minutes against the Nets. So, they had to rely more on Maxi Kleber and people like that. Tim Hardaway.
Yeah, and if they go small, they'll play right into the Grizzlies' hand. That's the difference in this situation. It kind of helped them in that game against the Grizzlies. Xavier Tillman, Jaren Jackson Jr. both can hold their own on the perimeter against a lot of players in the league. So matchup wise, this makes sense. This is why you don't use the transitive property in basketball because of certain matchups. This is one of those games on paper. The Grizzlies match up fine against the Dallas Mavericks,
and the Brooklyn Nets were beating the Dallas Mavericks going into that fourth quarter. So that's
Luka Magic saved them.
Yeah. Luka Magic saved them, absolutely. And that's going to be the key, right? Because as much as I love Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane, Luka Doncic is going to be the best player on the floor.
Yeah, without a doubt.
The key for the Grizzlies is going to be making sure that Kyrie Irving is not the second best player on the floor. Because Kyrie, 17 points on 17 shots, as we in Memphis like to call it, he pulled a Rudy Gay. Right, like that's a Rudy Gay stat line. Now 7 rebounds, 6 assists. He helped them win in other ways, but Kyrie was a -7 in the plus-minus category to Luka Doncic's +9. If they can find a way to make sure that it's Bane and Jaren that are the second and third best players on the floor behind Luka in this one, and Kyrie's the fourth best guy, I think that's going to be the key to the Grizzlies' victory because there's going to be chances for these other Grizzlies players to find their spots offensively against this Mavericks defense.
And the bench has got to do something, man. The bench has got to do something. The Mavericks, they got Tim Hardaway coming off the bench, and he
can do something.
He won't hesitate when he comes in. That's the guy right now that Memphis is missing. That immediately, boom, he comes in 10, 12 points type of guy. Derrick Rose is giving them sparks in stretches here, but Luke Kennard is the guy that I've kind of envisioned, being that person for this team. But we haven't seen it yet. But you know what? I think David Roddy, you look at probably 2 of his 3 best games last season came against the Dallas Mavericks.
Absolutely.
Is there something there where he sees the Mavericks again? He has a good game, but you need between Jake LaRavia, John Conchar. John Conchar has been great so far, but I will say that John Conchar is pump faking a lot, and he's passing up some shots. And I only note this because if you ask John Conchar before the season, or if you asked him at the end of last season, what do you want to do more? He said, I have to shoot the basketball. Just keep shooting the basketball more. But he's pump faking some shots. I think the Grizzlies could use him to pull the trigger on a few of those.
Needs to be more aggressive, which I never thought I would say out loud. You have truly pulled off something remarkable to me.
Wow.
I sounded like,
glad this is being recorded.
Wednesday Addams of, the Addams family to start this program. And now you've got me believing in John Conchar. We have come a very long way in just 30 some minutes, partner. You should be very proud of yourself. You are in mid-season form already here on Locked On Grizzlies. So kudos to you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the look. It's been, you'd be amazed what all the people have been saying,
they're angry. Lots of
people are saying, I was right about the Grizzlies. It's already? You were right.
It's October 30th. Like it's literally not even Halloween yet.
Tell me how many minutes John Morant's played. Like let's get there. It's almost like we don't have a perfect example last season. The Los Angeles Lakers started the season 2-10 and went to the Western Conference Finals. Like it's literally a right-in-your-face example less than a year ago that this thing can get turned around relatively fast if you push the right buttons. Like if you just watch Taylor Jenkins, he doesn't have he has an idea. I don't want to say that, but he can't set a rotation right now. We know, and I know, Taylor Jenkins wants to hit 10 guys on the floor and he wants to he can't. He doesn't know right now. Like it's all.
I think he's been playing
place.
9-man rotations the last couple games.
Because he can't go with another big. Well, he can.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's choosing. He's choosing not to. Exactly. So this thing will sort itself out when they have that kind of consistency at some point. We've seen them go on long winning streaks the last couple of years. I'm sure at some point they'll strike out for one of those runs.
I believe. I'm back to my
There he is.
Back. Here I am, just
is.
in time to close out our Monday episode of Locked On Grizzlies. Thank you so much to my partner, Damichael Cole. Thanks to you for checking us out on YouTube. Like, comment, rate, review, subscribe. Wherever you get your podcasts, we're free and available as proud members of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team each and every day. I'll be with you next time, breaking down Grizzlies-Mavericks in every which way possible. Hopefully, I'm talking about a Grizzlies win And then Damichael and I will be back with you to start the month of November. But you've got Halloween with Joe coming up for Grizzlies-Mavericks review and much more. Stick with us. Thank you so much. However you're checking out the show, continue to do so. Free and available. He's Damichael. I'm Joe. This is Locked On Grizzlies.